You're welcome back to the Gavel. Now, amidst the drama from the bombshell press statement by former President Obasanjo to President Buhari, the House of Representatives on Tuesday, January 23rd, amended the Electoral Act. It was not a minor amendment. Federal lawmakers made some proposals for amendment in the Electoral Act, which is eliciting debates in the country. Federal lawmakers in the House of Representatives during the week proposed amendments to the Electoral Act. In the amendment, the lower chamber is proposing that the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly elections be conducted first, followed by the governorship and presidential elections. According to the chairman of the Committee on Electoral and Political Matters, the proposed amendments seek to consolidate on the gains of the 2015 elections and address some of the gaps in the legal framework.
Earlier on, we have already identified as one of our legislative agenda that was adopted in August 2015 to reform the Electoral Act. Reform is rooted on the need to consolidate on the gains of the 2015 elections and address the lacuna in the legal framework. This is more so as the 2015 general elections highlighted some gaps in the legal framework. A case in point is the case of the Kogi State governorship election, where a candidate died after the commencement of polls but before the declaration of results. In addition to this, are submissions that the legal framework on certain issues should be well settled ahead of the 2019 elections, such as the use of technological devices, Electoral Offences Commission, electronic voting, early and primaries, and so on and so forth. These bills were referred to the House, and due diligence was done. In addition to the public hearing, committee experts was put together that handled everything. And even in the in-house, our legal luminaries have been very, very helpful. I wish to sincerely thank Mr. Chairman for bringing this committee together to look at every aspect of the Electoral Act, and today's work is going to conclude on this aspect. I hope that we will look at it diligently with a view to making the 2015 general election a hit-free, fair, 2019 general election, a hit-free, fair, and a democratically accepted elections.
The Deputy Speaker, who is presiding in the Committee of the Whole, put the proposed clauses to vote.
Clause 1 carried.
At one point, a new clause is proposed.
That the election into the offices of the President and Vice President, Governor and Deputy Governor of the state, and to membership of the Senate and House of Representatives and Legislative Houses of each state of the Federation be held in the following order. A. National Assembly elections. B. Governor and State Houses of Assembly elections. And C. Presidential elections.
Lawmakers appeared eager to support the motion, and it was eventually passed.
I have a move that there should be a further amendment that the chairman and councillorship candidates dates for the election shall be as appointed by the National Electoral Commission.
I rise to second the motion ably made by colleague. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The lawmakers also amended Section 49, 52, and 63 of the Act, which gives the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the authorization to provide for the use of card readers or any other technology in the conduct of elections in the country. Once these amendments pass through third reading in the House, it would have to enjoy the support of the Senate before it can be sent to the President. Meanwhile, Senate President Bukola Saraki has announced a 6-man committee of senators to reconcile the Senate's version of the amended Electoral Act with the version passed by the House of Representatives. The committee is expected to meet with the House of Representatives to harmonize the version of the amended electoral bill before being sent to President Buhari for his assent. The Senate had in 2017 passed an amended version of a 2010 Electoral Act. Now, some federal lawmakers spoke to Channels Television about the newly proposed amendments in the Electoral Act.
We are doing our legislative duties, and I think it is in line, I'm sure it is in line with international best practices. Elections are staggered all over the world. It's not a situation in Nigeria where you see the president is lumped up with House of Reps, lumped up with the Senate. It is not so in the US where we are copying this from. And if our democracy is to grow, then we need to move forward with this kind of amendments to align with international best practices, especially with the US where elections are so staggered. Operations of INEC are based on laws of the land, and the National Assembly is vested with the powers of making laws. And that includes laws that govern the operations of INEC, which is the Electoral Act. It is part of our duties. It is part of the duties of the National Assembly to so amend any law, including the Electoral Act, where they see it's inconsistent or there's a need for it to be so amended. And it's without prejudice to anyone or INEC. It's just what we're supposed to do to make sure our democracy grows and progresses.
Yeah, I think it's very important. First of all, I think that's one of our primary duty to make changes to the law of Nigeria. Once again, the process is, most people have seen the process to be like a selfish process, which is not. We're just trying for people, most of our people at home who cannot easily read or write, it's quite ordinarily good for them to understand what elections are we having on a day. Because the last election, we have president, National Assembly and president, and governor and the House of Assemblies. So we believe that bringing one forward, the National Assembly, having the governorship and the House of Assembly together, and the last one with presidential election, which is in the right order, and it's very good for the nation, for us to identify the process of electioneering, for us to identify who is voting on the present day, which is very good. But now it's just being passed by the House of Rep, still going for concurrent or conference with the Senate, with the Senate, which I believe will be done in. And we believe Mr. President, in his way, will definitely put his signature to it and it will become a law. If we can get this signed by Mr. President, or if it becomes a law, it's just a thing of INEC can just definitely they will go back into the drawing table and again redesign their timetable for us to suit what the law says, which is obviously just come out with an announcement and they'll be preparing. Obviously, I know now, as a responsible INEC, they too have seen what the amendment about the Electoral Act said. They'll be working towards it until it becomes law. And if at any point in time there's any other changes, I know they are effective enough to do the changes to it.
The National Assembly and as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, whatever amendments the House of Reps has proposed will still come to the Senate for us to look at it. As legislators, I believe they must have their reasons for what they have done. And when we see the act that comes out of the House, we would at that point be able to make our own input. I believe that every Nigerian is working towards a better Nigeria, and we just have different understandings of what will make Nigeria better. So I don't like condemning people just because they have a different pathway to Nigeria's greatness from the one that I have. So I like to listen. I also like to hear people out and understand the reasons why they think that will be better for the country. I don't want to belong to the group of people who, once they have made up their mind on something, anybody who holds a contrary opinion becomes an enemy. That doesn't help in a democracy. There are over 300 and something mature Nigerian minds in the House of Representatives. So if they make a recommendation, we can't just dismiss it with an off the hand remark. It's something that we should give serious consideration to. And if we're not satisfied, we also have an opportunity to make a contrary input. But I know that this is a topic because INEC has already announced its own order of elections, and now the House of Representatives have come out with something different. I believe that both INEC and the House of Representatives, they are all working towards us having good elections in Nigeria. So I don't want to condemn the efforts of either, but let us know the reasons behind why people are taking their different positions, and we look for what is best for Nigeria. I don't think that the order of elections would so much affect how people vote at the end of the day. So far in our experience, it has not really affected much.
Now, this is where we call it a day on this week's edition of the Gavel. If you have any views on any of the issues discussed, please email us on thegavel@channelstv.com. Thank you for staying with us, and see you again next week.